Just about every spiritual tradition out there teaches something about the ongoing nature of life, that it is not terminated. Oh, the body, yes, you drop the cells of a given format. And then you enter another kind of spaciousness. In fact, it's what happens right after death, you know? You're drawn into a field of love so intense. You begin to forget all the wounding a life held. It feels as if you don't have a body exactly, but you kind of, at first, you kind of think in terms of a body. You know, that was the I, or the assumed I in a life. So you still kind of think in that way. But here you are, your consciousness is vibrantly alive, or can be. It isn't for everyone. But the experience is one of being suspended, just dangling in love, so powerful. It's utterly indescribable. And that's when you remember, oh, this is reality. The life I had in that body was kind of like a dream. I fell asleep and I dreamed all these things that I did. But now I'm awake and I've come home. And usually, at least what happens for many people, is when they're confronted and surrounded with that kind of love, they want to make it available to other people, people they've cared about, perhaps. And so often when they get ready to take birth again, it's for that very reason. Oh, I want to go and take love. And then they enter again into the gestation process whereby a physical body is structured. And at a certain time, they exit the body of their mother and they take on a life of their own. And they enter the field of a family. And like most families, it's not perfect. People struggle. Perhaps other people have forgotten who they are, where they came from. And the infant, you know, the infant. There was some of you know the man, Steve Levine. He does a lot of work with dying. He happens to be Buddhist, but he really works with people not only as they are dying, but the families afterward. And he had some students who told him this story once. It was a couple. They had a little girl that was about 3 when they had their second child. And being very good parents, they had installed a monitor in there so that they could hear everything that goes on. This was before they had video monitors. Now those kinds are going, so you can watch the baby from another room. But this was just an auditory thing, so they could hear when he started to cry or whatever, little boy they had. And the first child was a little girl. And she kept asking her parents, could she go in to see the baby by herself? Now, like parents, they assume the worst. They assumed she wanted to hurt the baby. Not anything in this little girl that should have given them that idea, but they were afraid. So they asked Levine, he said, well, you've got that monitor in there, let her go in, listen to it, see what happens. If anything untoward happens, you can run right in. So they decided to do it. And they said, okay. It was a big production, really. She'd been asking and asking. She wanted to be by the baby, with the baby herself. And they couldn't imagine there was any good thing about that. But they were surprised because they could hear the squeak of the crib and everything, you know. And they heard her take the bars of the crib side and go up to it. And in their mind, they could imagine her little face poking through the crib bars because they could hear the squeak. And in a barely audible whisper over the PA system, the little girl said, baby, baby, tell me about God. I'm starting to forget. So in this little 3-year-old, this remarkably alive and awake spiritually 3-year-old, she still remembered that love, even though she could not find it or see it in her family. And she knew she was forgetting it. And this great longing from a 3-year-old, does that not touch you deeply? Does that not call you to remember where you came from and who you really are? Baby, tell me about God. I'm starting to forget. And indeed, for most people, the story of life is one of forgetting, isn't it? And if you forget enough, you can even wage war on people you deem to be weaker or less able to defend themselves. Because all forget, don't they? That they came from love, that they are love, and that all of life is really supposed to be about returning to love. And if you forget it significantly enough, you'll remember after you die, you see. So that's why there's something good about dying. You can forget all the things you forgot, or you can forget about the forgetting of the divine. As Rumi once said, you are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. My friends, go live that. Go live that. It is your truth. It really is.